downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. Better get the coleslaw, y'all. Now available in paperback and e-readers. ISIS, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed ISIS series mystery. Get your copy of ISIS, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. 'Cause we're having us a barbecue. A group of leftist women say that they're going on a sex strike because Donald Trump won the presidential election. This small group of leftist feminist indoctrinated women are threatening to go on a sex strike to protest men for looking to support Donald Trump and their support leading to him defeating Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. And this small group of women claims that what they want to do to punish men for supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election is deny them sexual access for the 4 years of the Trump presidency as a way to punish them for leading up to the victory of Donald Trump as related to the 2024 presidential election. Now, this whole plan is, many of these women's claims, is inspired by the Korean 4B movement, where that group of Korean feminists looks to deny men sexual access and prevent them from being able to get sexual access to their bodies by denying them any sort of opportunity to be able to pursue a relationship with them. And they're hoping that this protest will basically lead to American men looking to concede and acquiesce to them the way many did with their great-grandmothers in the late 1960s and 1970s with the feminist movement, when many of the women went out here and were indoctrinated into feminism, and that generation of baby boomer men went out here and submitted to those women and basically gave them what they wanted. However, that's not going to happen this time, because when we look at this group of women looking to make this sex strike protest, they clearly don't have the support that their feminist indoctrinated great-grandmothers did back in the 1960s. Now, if we look at the statistics for the 2024 presidential election, we clearly see that this group of leftist women don't have that support, because when we look at the statistics, it was a large contingent of white women and a large contingent of Hispanic women who went out here voting for Trump. And if you've got a good majority of most of America's women going out here and voting for Donald Trump, I doubt that this so-called sex strike that these leftist women are looking to go out here and propose gets any traction, similar to the way that the 4B movement got no traction whatsoever in Korea. Now, in Korea, there was a lot of hype as related to the Western leftist media talking about how the 4B movement was making dating impossible for most Korean men and leading to the low pregnancy rates. However, as people went out here and did objective research, it was found that most of the Korean society wanted nothing to do with the 4B movement, and that the 4B movement in and of itself got no traction whatsoever. And the reason for the low birth rates in Korea was mainly because most women were working, and because most women were working, many people just did not have the time to go out here and be able to court for relationships or be able to form a relationship to build a family. That was the reason why most Korean women and men were not going out here having babies. Moreover, many Korean people couldn't afford to have children because the cost of living in Korea was extremely high. Those were the two reasons for the decline in Korean birth rates. However, what happened was many of these far leftists went out here and wanted to create their own news and own reality regarding that news. So they came up with this story that the 4B movement had all of this traction, when in actuality the 4B movement basically was a fringe movement, of far left feminist indoctrinated Korean women who most people paid no attention to and had no real care for. And the same thing is going to happen here when you really think about everything, because if Donald Trump was able to get a majority of the popular vote in this year's election, then I don't really see this whole strike getting much traction whatsoever. No, I don't see this whole so-called strike getting much traction, because most of the women are basically supporting the men, which is what happens in societies, because most women get their resources primarily from men, and because most women get their resources primarily from men, they really don't want to go out here alienating men by looking to deny them sexual access to their bodies in a lot of cases, and denying them opportunities at relationships. And most women in and of themselves understand joining in a movement like the 4B movement basically puts them in a situation where they basically are going to eliminate themselves as competition in the social marketplace, something that is very dangerous in a world where women are basically four to every one man, and with women being four to every one man, any of these women basically eliminating themselves from competition, especially during their prime years, basically puts them on the road to being one of the majority of women who will be single and basically be on the road to Spinsterville. So many smart women, they basically are looking at these women making this ridiculous proposal and laughing at them, because that means that there's going to be more opportunities for them, for men. And with the majority of women, again, voting for Donald Trump, they already have looked at these women and are laughing at them, because now they've got a clear straight line to the guys they actually want. So they don't see how they're going to be punished. No, they just see how these women are going to punish themselves by being their own worst enemy, and being their own worst enemy because they went out here and decided to participate in a ridiculous proposal that basically makes it where they eliminate themselves as competition in the social marketplace with other women. That's what they're doing when they call themselves trying to punish men, is they wind up hurting themselves by being their own worst enemy, thinking that, oh, if I go on this strike, I'll deny these men opportunities to be able to pursue me. But the whole thing is, most of those guys, once they hear that these women, or that this feminist indoctrinated woman, when they hear that they are make this type of protest, they already cross this woman off the list, because they already see that this woman is a feminist and not a woman. And there's a clear difference between a feminist and a woman, and I go in depth on this in my book, The Woman Crisis. And again, once that man sees that that woman is a feminist, they see that she is not a woman that's going to look to help meet his needs, but be a hindrance. And when they look at that woman looking to be a hindrance and not a help to him, what that man is going to do is hear, okay, this woman's talking all of these crazy far left talking points, so I know that she's not going to be somebody I can work with or look to make a wife. So that woman, after she's already gone out here and alienated herself and eliminated herself from competition as related to the social marketplace, is one most guys are going to cross off their list. So this is a lose-lose situation for most women who make this type of proposal. And many of these women who are making this threat as related to this election basically put the nails in their own coffins as related to the social marketplace, and put themselves not on a road to getting into a relationship with a man, but on a road to going to bust downtown, where their social marketplace value will drop 50, 60, 70, even 50% off the original social marketplace price, which already is about as a $5 food stamp without the book, because looking to make a protest as related to a president that a majority of men and women voted for, and looking to support a candidate that lost an election because you're upset that they lost an election, basically turns all those people away from you and makes them look at you with a side eye. And that's what this whole proposal of this strike is. Again, a strike that's not going to have much of an impact, just like the 4B movement had no traction in Korea. But what these people want to do is go out here and continue to throw a tantrum thinking that you're going to punish men. But most men don't care about Kamala Harris. Most women don't care about Kamala Harris. And then that was shown in the election for 2024. And looking to go out here and throw a temper tantrum and looking to go on some so-called strike, yeah, you can go ahead and do that, but all you're going to do is make it where people just look at you with that side eye as they realize that there's something wrong with you. And again, many of these women who look to make this kind of statement only are making a statement that you're just, again, completely out of touch with reality. And once you make the statement that you're out of touch with reality and are Arkham certified, that's where these women don't see where they're headed on a road to winding up possibly being single for the rest of their lives. Like the women I talk about in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Many of those women went out here and wound up supporting the feminist movement in the 1970s. And as those great-grandmothers wound up supporting that movement and supported feminism, they wound up becoming single for the rest of their lives. And many of their granddaughters are basically going to wind up single for the rest of their lives, looking to go out here and protest Donald Trump. Again, Donald Trump is going on with his life as the 47th president of the United States, and these women will basically be out of the social marketplace and basically be irrelevant because of their own actions, because as they look to make a protest nobody cares about, they wind up, again, hurting only themselves, because all you have to do, as I'm going to repeat it once more, look at the statistics to see where this strike is going to go, because if a good chunk of 69% of white women voted for Donald Trump, and about 50% of Hispanic women voted for Donald Trump, and about 55% of Asian and Arab women voted for Donald Trump, where is the majority to make this strike have an impact? Critical question I want to ask all of those leftist women who are coming up with this proposal. I mean, where are your numbers to be able to get that kind of support to have any sort of impact on society? I mean, where are you going to get the numbers to be able to get that support? I mean, the only reason why the feminist movement of the 60s and the 70s got some traction is mainly because the white feminist indoctrinated women managed to trick black women into supporting their movement. That's the only reason why they got those numbers, to bluster their numbers. But this time, you don't have those numbers to bluster your numbers. And if you don't have those numbers of a base to bluster your numbers, your so-called strike doesn't really impact anyone. That's what many of these women who come up with this just asinine proposal don't really understand, because at the end of the day, if a majority of women are looking to provide sexual access to men who voted for Donald Trump, then the small group of women who supported Kamala Harris, if they go on strike, they have no impact whatsoever, because most of the women in this world, again, they know that there are 4 women for every 1 man, and every woman who takes herself out of the competition makes it where these other women who supported Donald Trump basically have more opportunities than they do. So this whole strike, again, is an emotional reaction that women are looking to do, and they're looking to make this reaction because they are angry that their candidate lost. And as they are angry that their candidate lost, they're hoping that the one thing that they believe that they have high value to men will make them make these men give pause. But when men start thinking critically about the statistics as related to who voted in this election and how Trump got the not only the electoral vote but the popular vote as well, they look at that small group of Harris supporting women who are upset that men voted for Donald Trump and upset that these men voted for Donald Trump to prevent them from being able to get their so-called access to abortion. The men look at them and go, look, you're just being ridiculous, and that's just you being emotional overall. And with you being emotional and ridiculous, nobody really takes this whole threat seriously, just like the Korean men don't take the 4B movement seriously, and they didn't take the 4B movement seriously because, again, they just did not have the numbers, and with there being no numbers, again, there was no threat to the marketplace as related to women, as related to competing in the social marketplace, because women compete differently than men in the social marketplace. When women compete in the social marketplace, they compete for the attention of men from other women, and when women eliminate themselves as competition, women don't stop them. No, they just let you go on in your emotions and let you eliminate yourself. Then they go out here and make moves on the men that you basically are trying to scare, and that basically makes it where most of the men are completely unfazed, and they're completely unfazed because, again, they know that since a majority of women supported Donald Trump, they are not worried about the women who are going on strike because Kamala Harris lost. No, they're not really concerned about that, and they're not concerned because they've already got access to the other women out there. So this whole strike basically has struck out even before the articles about it were printed. I mean, most guys basically hear this whole idea of strike and see it for the childish temper tantrum that it is. It's a childish temper tantrum made by a group of leftist women who think that their box basically has such value, which is ironic because these are the women who go out here and participate in the sexual promiscuity that leads to the unwanted pregnancies that lead to abortion. And these women are the ones who sit there and complain, oh, there's all these men are again sexually objectifying me, but the irony is that they don't see how they sexually objectify themselves with this whole strike proposal, and how this strike proposal basically is them boiling a woman down to her genitals. They don't see how their actions are ironically just as sexist as what they are proposing, and again, don't see how they're bringing a woman down to just her body parts. That's what they don't see what this whole strike is all about. Again, these are the same women who talk about gender equality, but don't see how they participate in sexism overall. I mean, it's basically mind-boggling when you listen to this proposal, because it's all based on emotions of anger that their candidate didn't win. But instead of going out here and being angry at the Biden administration for running a craptacular 4 years in office, or being angry at at Joe Biden for running for president and going out here knowing he had health issues as related to his cognition and still running for office, or being angry at Kamala Harris for just being a terrible candidate. What these women do is basically do what many feminist indoctrinated women do, make everything about sex and sexual access, and because they don't really want to think critically about why they wound up losing the election, and that's why they go out here and continue with a losing proposal for a strike that's definitely just going to strike out and fizzle even before Christmas, because if, again, most of the women voted for Donald Trump, which were white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, and Arab women, then who's going to go on strike, and how is the strike going to have an impact? Because I'll repeat it once more, strikes only have impacts when they can impact a marketplace and prevent that marketplace from being able to gain any sort of traction. And when it comes to the social marketplace won't feel anything from this group of feminist indoctrinated women, because it's such a small group, even among leftist women, that the point that the women who go on this strike basically will be the only ones who strike out, because, again, a strike only has an impact on those when there is an impact on business. And again, the business of the social marketplace is going to go on, and it's going to go on because that's just how things are going to go. And nothing these women who go on strike are going to do is going to have an impact on that commerce going on whatsoever. Now, if you want to learn how women get indoctrinated into feminism and get ideas to do things like this, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn why so many black women wound up single for the last 50 years and winding up struggling as related to having relationships, and how this impacts women of other races all across the globe, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.